My husband is cheating on me with our best friend. I recently found out that my husband, 42, is cheating on me with our married best friend, 32F. She is the godmother to our 4 children. They don't know that I know, but I caught them making out at the end of our driveway when he was seeing her off after dinner with our family. We live on a small acreage and the driveway is a long way off from the main house. She had forgotten some crockery at the house and I decided to walk it over because for some reason the two of them always took a while to say goodbye. Now I know why. That's when I saw them lit by her car's headlights, making out in the front seat with our best friend straddling my husband. In shock, I didn't know whether to throw her Priex at the car or just walk away. I decided the latter and was too shocked to cry or be angry. When my husband got back, I had to pretend like everything was normal. I know that it's stupid, but I couldn't sleep that night and decided to go through his phone. She was obviously under a pseudonym, but I found a handful of their messages dating 2 or 3 years. Her husband doesn't know. He's currently posted overseas as a diplomat. I'm sick with rage and betrayal. I'm lost and have no idea what steps to take next. Update. Whoa, didn't expect this much support. It's really overwhelming. Just to clarify a few things, this is a private account I created just for this post away from my usual account because I was scared it would be traced back to me. I want to remain as anonymous as I can. I don't live in the US, but in Australia. Technically, I can't file for divorce immediately, as you need to be separated for 1 year and 1 day to file officially. My now ex-best friend just recently returned to the country. Her father has cancer after being posted with her husband overseas. The dinner was to welcome her home, and what a welcome. There's some comments here about the headlights illuminating them. Sorry, I meant overhead lights. As to what I'm going to do now, a part of me just wants to confront my husband and see what lame excuse he has. But I need to get away from him. This level of betrayal physically hurts. I can't help but think of all the times we spent together over the years and for how long our families were fooled. My mind is going crazy when she was single and he would rescue her from some bad dates or the times they were alone in my house when the kids and I were out. How irrationally angry he was when he found out she had a boyfriend, then chose to marry him. Thinking back on it, the two of them disappeared at her wedding. When I asked him where he was, he said that he needed to reassure her that she had done the right thing. I feel so sick thinking of these things. Update. Thank you everyone for your concern and advice. As of tomorrow, my husband is out of town. I've tried really hard to act normal around my now ex-best friend, but it's proving difficult and I feel sick. I have been telling both of them that I've caught some terrible bug and just not feeling myself. While my husband is out of town for the next few days, my sister-in-law, who's the only other person who knows, my brother's wife, will help me pack important documents and store them somewhere where my husband doesn't know about. I've organized for my kids to stay with them for a week while I sort my stuff out. I've spoken to a family lawyer, and they have told me that the best way to start the separation procedure is to no longer be living under the same roof. I'm fortunate in that most of our assets are also in my name, and the land our house is on was gifted to us by my parents. I'm planning to kick him out after his trip. But before that, I want to catch them both in the act again, have some hard proof, send it to the ex's friend's husband, and get the ball rolling for moving on with my life. I'll update with that what happens after the confrontation. Final update. My husband came home 2 nights ago from his trip. While he is gone, I had organized a lot of important documents such as financial, birth certificates, passports, anything that he could potentially use to try and get more than what he deserves. They are now safely stored and my kids have been staying with their aunt and uncle for the past few days. I had packed all my husband's things and he has been really good at keeping his tracks clean because there was no evidence of his affair within his stuff. I placed all his belongings in the garage ready for the confrontation with him. I was super nervous because I wasn't sure if I was making the right decision. Once he came home and I remembered seeing him kissing our best friend, I remembered the deep hurt they had caused. I was in our kitchen when he came home and he knew straight away something was wrong. During that week, I had been distant and had barely answered his texts and screened his calls. I did answer every now and again and gave the kids a chance to speak to their dad. He asked me why I hadn't been responding to his text, and he tried to kiss me, but I turned away, and before I knew it, the first things that came out of my mouth were, "I want a separation." I have to admit that he didn't look very surprised when I said it. He nodded his head and said, "What do you know?" Which was just a punch in the gut, because I wanted him to deny it or say something like it was a one-off thing. I asked him to tell me everything, like when did it start? And he said they started about 10 years ago. At first, it was flirtatious messaging and a sneaky kiss in the office from when they briefly worked together, and the affair was on and off. She apparently always felt guilty, and her way out of that was to marry the next man that was interested in her and proposed. He admitted that they had sex on her wedding day, and when he is out of town, they meet. At this point, I couldn't breathe, and I was sobbing. I hated the next words that came out of my mouth, which was, "Did you ever even love me?" He hesitated and said yes, of course, but he was never in love with me the way he was with her. I cleared my throat and had said to him that he should tell her husband. There's no point in hiding it anymore. I told him that all his stuff was in the garage and he can find somewhere else to stay. I let him know that I have spoken to a family lawyer, and I told him that when I feel ready, and only when I feel ready, we will see each other again and talk about the future arrangement with the kids. I said any future communication can only be done through my sister-in-law or my brother. I said he is allowed to see the kids, but only at their place. I'm of course wanting full custody of the children because it hurts too much to give him anything at this point. He agreed to all my points because he knew he was in the wrong. He tried to say sorry, and then I absolutely lost it and screamed. No way are you sorry. For 10 years, you have both deceived everyone we know. Please take your stuff and leave, and tell that woman you have been screwing for 10 years that I do not ever want to see her face again. Certainly not my shining moment, but also a culmination of all the hurt and anger over the last few weeks that they have caused. I have no intention of talking to my ex-best friend, or really to my soon-to-be ex-husband, until I've had the time to grieve. So thank you, community, for the encouragement and advice. Hope I can heal and move on from this. I have to say, yeah, I don't blame her. I have to say, though, the smart thing she did was getting all his stuff and just be like, all right, here you go, leave, bye, I hate you, go. Right? You know, instead of him being like, no, I'm gonna stay. She's like, nah, this is my house, on my property, my gift, bye, biatch. Okay, next story. Story number 2. Today, I effed up by telling my roommate to stop having sex while I was in the room. I'm writing this story at 2:37 in the morning, still in shock. A little backstory is required to better understand my roommate. For the entire first semester of this year, freshman, my roommate has had a body odor problem and has been making free use of my trash bags, silverware, soap, lint roller, etc. Things that I had to replace multiple times. I had talked to him plenty of times and even got my RA involved to mediate, to no avail. So tensions were already existing. Now onto the story. Earlier today, my roommate left our shared dorm room, 1 room, 2 beds, to go to a party. In the several hours he was gone, I had invited my girlfriend over to eat and watch TV. After a while of us being there, my roommate arrives with a girl. They settle onto his bed with blankets over them, and minutes later they're making noises and he's doing the deed with us in the room. At this time, my girlfriend was falling asleep and didn't know what was going on, so I got her up fast and got out. After sending her on her way, I went down the hall to my friend's room to tell them what was going on, then sent the roommate a very strongly worded text saying that he was doing something he shouldn't have done. Around 45 minutes pass and I go back to the room to check if they're still there. They are, and it's 10:45 p.m. at this point, so I leave again. Wait another 30 minutes and get a text saying, "Come back in, dude." I return to her sitting on the bed, and he says, "You know we can just talk one-on-one. You don't have to be like that." Then I lose it. Now, I'm normally soft-spoken and don't anger easily, but I'm a fairly big dude and he's never heard me angry before. And I go off with choice words about how disrespectful and disgusting he is for what he did and bringing up things he's done all semester. I finished by saying, and this is what I think tipped the scales, this is something someone would get their ass beaten for. Then right after telling him, "You need to leave now, take the girl and get out." He left while calling someone and I thought that was the end of it. I would talk to my RA tomorrow and be done. But no. 20 minutes later, the door slammed shut and him and a grown man who was wearing a puff jacket with no shirt walk in. The guy starts yelling at me, saying respect goes both ways and I need to show this boy some respect. He calls my girlfriend, who was on FaceTime with me, a B-word and keeps threatening me and saying he'd beat my ass. He finishes by leaving the room and saying, "If you report this, I'll pull up with my homies to take care of you." So I waited for them to leave, got my friends to help me move my stuff out after filing an incident report with the campus security, and got put into temporary housing for my safety. Yeah, don't do it with other people in the room, unless they're into that. But still, you need to have a thorough conversation, and everyone's got to be consenting and involved. And you know what? And make sure you get a thumbs up beforehand anyways. Otherwise, don't do it with other people in the room. It's like, how is that hard to comprehend? Who raises these people? Anyway, next story. Story number 3. I, 27F, didn't put my partner, 28M's name on our baby's birth certificate. Hi, I've never posted on here before, but I'm just looking for some advice. Here's some context for the situation. I, 27F, and my boyfriend, 28M, have recently had a baby together, born 20th of October 2023. However, we don't currently live together as we are trying to save up for our forever home. Now this is where I need some advice. I've recently booked a time slot to get our baby registered, and as soon as I did it, I told my boyfriend/baby daddy to let him know of the time and date. On the day of, I had texted my boyfriend in the morning reminding him of the time and letting him know that he should probably come and get me straight after he finishes work as it will be tight with time. I didn't get a reply all day, but I assumed he must have skipped his lunch and been busy with work. As it's getting closer to the time and an hour after he had finished work, I was ready and waiting with our baby to be picked up. However, he never turned up. So, 30 minutes before the appointment, I got in my car and drove there myself. I had been freaking out and frantically texting him while in the waiting area. He never turned up or replied, so I went in and did it alone. However, I did not know that he needed to be there with me to get his name on the birth certificate, and I could not do it for him. When I got home, I felt pretty hurt that he couldn't be bothered to turn up for something as important as this, and the next day after he had finished work, he came over to see me and our baby girl. I found out that the day before, his mom had called and he had gone over to hers and had a bit too much to drink after work, and he fell asleep really early at his mom's house, and he never asked about the birth certificate or even said sorry, so I just left it assuming he didn't care anyway. But now he has seen it and is mad at me for not putting his name on it. I explained that I couldn't and he needed to be there himself to do it, but instead chose to get drunk with his mommy, and now he is asking to redo it with his name on it. So do you think I should redo it with his name on the birth certificate? I am scared he won't turn up again. Bro, really? Come on, dude. Like, that's an important day. I don't think this guy's ready to be a daddy. Obviously, this is just one story, but you know what? If I was a betting man, I'd bet he'd probably do it again. All right, next story. Story number 4. I think my 17M brother, 22M, is sleeping with my mom, 40F. I know this will sound bizarre, and for me it is too, but I have been having this suspicion for quite a long time. My brother, 22M, and my mom, 40F, have always had a close relationship. My brother is my mother's golden child, and they have always been close. But every time my dad, 43M, goes on a work trip, they become even closer, cuddling while watching a movie. They even go outside together. Whenever I ask them about this, they say that this is a normal mother and son relationship, but I feel quite disgusting with this. Yesterday was the final nail in the coffin. My dad went on a business trip on Thursday and should be back this Wednesday. So I was returning home after seeing some friends, and the house was quiet, but the lights were on, and that bothered me. And when I went to take some comfy clothes from my room, I heard some noises from my parents' room. I just freaked out and remained quiet. Then went to the bathroom. When I went out, my mom and brother were eating dinner like nothing happened. They even seemed surprised to see me home. I'm confused right now. I don't know if I should tell my dad because I have no solid proof, but I am almost 100% sure that something is going on. I am disgusted with much of the comments, all making fun of me, saying lots of hurtful things. Thank you for nothing, strangers. Thank you for making fun of me and my problem. Now, if this was a sitcom, this would be a funny plotline. But ladies and gentlemen, life is no sitcom. I know you may want it to be, but it is not. This is unfortunately real life. And this guy's brother and his mother are, oh God, gross. It's funny, but it's not. Like, it's funny to hear about, but then you're like, the implications of how that could ruin a family is horrible. How do you live with that? How do you look your brother and mom in the eye? How does the dad react? Anyway, continuing. Update. First of all, I received a lot of hurtful messages. I came here for venting and looking for some support. Second, I have an update about everything. I put some cameras like some of you suggested, and yes, I have a video of my mom and my brother entering my parents' bedroom. I don't know what they would be doing in there, and frankly, I don't care. This is disgusting. They were there for about an hour, then came out like nothing happened. Of course, when my dad came back, I told him about my suspicions and I even showed him the video. He was angry. I have never seen him like this. He began screaming to my mom and my brother. They said time after time that they weren't doing anything sexual. My mother was angry at my dad for suggesting that, but when my dad asked her what they were doing, she just stood in silence. I am now with my dad in my aunt's house, his sister, and I don't know what will happen, but at least he knows. So yeah, mom's definitely guilty, and son, yeah, but you know what, I blame the mom more because, you know, who knows how long they've been doing this, right? That's a young, impressionable man, right? The brother's 22, but you know they've been doing that for a while. I'm just saying, oh my goodness. What do? You go to a therapist? Is there an incest therapist? There's a therapist for everything, right? Okay, anyway, thank you for listening. Bye. I'm done.